What's up, guys? Welcome to Move to Action. I'm here with my buddy, Riverman. Riverman, say hi. You say hi? No, you can't. Okay, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, I've got two things I want to share with you today that I think are absolute game changers. Hey, I know that you have places you want to be, things that you want to do, but it seems like you don't have everything you need to get there. That's all of us. That's everybody. But how we can get there is by moving to action day in and day out. That is how we make a difference. So, again, we've talked a lot about our thought life and how that affects us. So, and actually, I'm going to tell you why I've got him with me. But we all get in dark places, right? Where our thoughts start to get negative and we start to, gosh, we can't really get on top of our thoughts. We think bad about ourselves and maybe about God, about the people around us. We start to think negatively, right? So this is a great example. This is my son River. I love him so much, right? But when I'm in a dark spot, right? He drives me crazy. He makes me crazy, right? But we all get that way. I jokingly about him, but we all get that way, right? See, he's a whopper here. Take it before he starts biting me. So we all get that way. What do? Well, let me read this passage. I think is going to set you free if we can live this out, right? So in Matthew 9, verse 4, Jesus is talking to the Pharisees they're arguing against him. They're in a bad spot. They do this. So Jesus says this, knowing their thoughts, he said, why do you entertain evil? Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your heart? So there's so much truth to that. Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your heart? Can I set you free a little bit? It's okay to have bad thoughts. It's okay to think negative thoughts. The issue is when you entertain them. And when I say entertain them, you let them in. Maybe you have a temptation. You think, oh, I'd like to go look at this. The issue is when you actually go and do it. Hey, I'd like to talk to this person. Hey, I'd like to think this way. I'd like to do that. We all have thoughts. You can't control not having thoughts come into your head, but you can control entertaining them to the point of action. That is when we have an issue. So what's the best way to get this out? Well, the first one is knowing God's word, knowing who God says you are, and be able to process that way. But outside of that, the next best thing to do is to verbalize these thoughts to somebody. That's why almost every week we say people put power to the plan. People around you, that's why community is such a big deal in the Bible, is because people put power to you. They put power on you. They help you get through stuff, right? So we have to be very, very intentional about our thoughts. What thoughts do you entertain? I know for me, whenever I mess up, when I get into a bad spot, is when I have these particular thoughts that I let run me about myself, about my surroundings. So what thoughts do you entertain that you know that you shouldn't? So that's a huge burden, roadblock to a lot of us moving to action. Let me give you one more thing I want to share with you. And what this is going to do is going to help push you, the things that you know you should be doing, the things that you know you're called to be doing, because a lot of us, our obedience level is way below our knowledge level. We know a lot more than we actually do. And I'm not talking about just biblically, I'm talking about health-wise, I'm talking about professionally, academically, right? We know what we should do. A lot of times we just choose not to. So what holds us back from doing that? In Matthew chapter 7, Jesus is telling that parable about somebody who builds their house on the sand. You can read it, but you may have heard it. Matthew chapter 7, the person who builds their house on the sand, it falls. The person who builds their house on the rock, it stands strong. It's a lesson about foundations, right? What's your foundation? Again, I would submit to you, a lot of us, the foundation that's cracked for us is our thought life. So entertaining evil thoughts, that's a big one we need to know. But after Jesus told them this parable, it says this. Jesus had finished saying these things, and the crowds were amazed at his teaching because he taught with like one who had authority and not the teachers of the law. This is huge. If you build your house on the sand, of course it's going to fall. There's no good foundation there. It's moving, it's shaky. I mean, it can't hold weight. And if you build your house on a rock, of course it's going to stand. So here's the question. Everybody that heard Jesus' teaching knew it. So why were they so amazed? It says they were amazed because he was one who taught with authority, one who taught with desperation, one who had something intrinsically inside him that shoved him to move on the things that he knew. So can I ask you, are you walking in authority? Are you thinking in authority? every day in your relationships, in your own personal thought life, and the things that you know you're called to do. Because whatever you're doing, whether you're a son or a daughter, whether you're a wife or a husband, a professional, a student, it doesn't matter. You've been called to operate in authority, been called to operate in excellence. So the two things I want you to do this week. Number one, I want you to look at the thoughts that you entertain. I want you to start saying those out loud to people, the negative ones. Say them out loud to people. I say them out loud to plenty of people, and they help me find reality. So your thoughts. Don't entertain negative thoughts. And then two, find the motivation inside. Find the authority inside to do what you know you ought to do, to move to action. I love you. I believe in you. Hey, share this with somebody. Let's change the world this week. I'll see you next week.